What if the most important decision of your life isn't the one you think it is? What if it doesn't involve grand public choices or emotional declarations in front of a crowd, but instead, a silent, practical, and invisible surrender before human eyes? Most people are waiting for the rapture as a future event, but few realize that the preparation has already begun. And what separates the taken from the left behind won't be a belief, it will be a surrender. The truth is, the most important choice happens before the rapture, and very few are making it correctly. Not because it's hard to understand, but because it's easy to ignore. It doesn't seem urgent, it doesn't make noise, but this choice has been the filter between those who merely confess and those who truly surrender. And the most alarming part, many think they've already decided, but still live the same way as before. This decision doesn't happen in church. It happens in the secret place. It's not visible on social media, but in the backstage of the soul. It reveals itself when we deny the flesh, when we forgive in silence, when we choose God's presence over people's approval. It's subtle, yet decisive. And while so many are waiting for signs in the sky, the real test is already happening now, inside each one of us. If that made you uncomfortable, good. Because in this video, we're going to unpack this nearly invisible choice. We'll reveal why it's the key to being ready before the rapture, and why so few are choosing the right path. There are many people out there who believe they made the most important decision of their life just because they raised their hand in a service or repeated a prayer. It's almost like they pressed a magic button and voila, saved forever. But spiritual reality runs much deeper than that. Jesus never said, "Repeat after me." He said, "Deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me." And let's be honest, that's far more challenging than reciting pretty phrases. Accepting Christ wasn't a one-time action in the past. It's a daily calling. Many think that believing once is enough, but they go on living as if nothing has changed on the inside. It's like getting married but still acting single. The ring is on the finger, but the commitment isn't in the heart. This illusion of a choice already made is dangerous because it disguises itself as faith. And when deception is dressed in religion, it's even harder to detect. The real sign that someone has chosen Christ is shown in the practice of saying no to self, saying no to pride when you want revenge, staying silent when you want to answer back, giving when you want to hold on. This kind of choice doesn't happen on stage. It happens in the backstage of the soul. And that's where God is watching. Not what man shows, but what the heart practices in silence. Those stuck in the mindset of a decision already made may have stopped making daily choices. And that's dangerous because the rapture won't take those who believed once, but those who are still believing and obeying today. There's a big difference between having faith and living by faith. And it's at this point where many stumble without realizing, thinking they've finished a race they barely started. And that confusion, it opens the door to an even subtler kind of deception. A lot of people think saying yes to Jesus with their lips is enough to guarantee a spot in the rapture. But heaven doesn't respond to the sound of your mouth. It responds to the surrender of your heart. Confession is just the beginning, not the end. The problem is, many stop at the doorway of faith and never enter the house of surrender. And the most dangerous part, thinking you're inside when you're still far off. Jesus made it clear in Matthew 7:21. Not everyone who says to me, "Lord, Lord." There are going to be a lot of surprises on that great day, because some people memorize verses but don't live them. They sing, "I give you my heart," but have never surrendered even their own will. The real yes isn't spoken on Sunday. It's lived on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's when you could do what you want, but you choose what God wants instead. The daily cross is where the real yes is proven. It's saying yes to God when pride screams no, giving up the last word in an argument just to protect peace, continuing to do what's right even when no one applauds. That's the kind of surrender heaven recognizes and the world despises. And it's exactly here where the invisible filter of the rapture is already separating the prepared from the deceived. Faith that only speaks is fragile, but faith that dies to self, that's the kind that's alive. Too many people have gotten so used to religious talk, they've forgotten how to live it out. And without action, faith is just empty noise. The rapture won't be for those who know the lyrics of the song, but for those who live out the melody of surrender. And that right there is where most people are distracted, thinking they've surrendered, without ever truly giving up control. While many are waiting for a sign in the sky, a trumpet blast, or a visible miracle, the Spirit is watching decisions no one else sees. It's in the moment you swallow your pride and ask for forgiveness even when you weren't at fault, or when you say no to a desire that may be allowed but won't edify. The invisible choice doesn't happen under lights or applause, but in the backstage of character. God is watching those who'd rather lose an argument to gain peace, who choose silence over shouting, who close a tempting tab without even opening it. The choice connected to the rapture isn't about a grand act. It's made in micro decisions. When you shut a screen out of reverence, not guilt. When you choose to stay in and pray, even if you could go out with a clear conscience. When you help someone without posting it or expecting thanks. These are the choices heaven is recording. And the most astonishing part, most people don't even realize they're deciding their eternal destiny in the moments no one sees. Spiritually mature people understand that obedience isn't an event, it's a lifestyle. They don't need to be watched to do what's right. They've already learned that God reveals himself in the small things. Restraining a carnal response is sometimes more powerful than preaching a sermon. Forgiving silently holds more spiritual weight than 1,000 public "I love yous." These decisions build an invisible history, but one that echoes in eternity. The rapture, unlike what many believe, won't be a panicked, last-minute decision. It's not like rushing to catch a bus you almost missed. It will be the outcome of thousands of quiet, unseen choices made in the dark. Choices God saw. Choices no one clapped for. And while the world chases dramatic signs, the true chosen ones are already being set apart in the ordinary moments of daily life. Jesus left no room for confusion. Take up your cross and follow me. But let's be honest, very few truly understand what that means. It's not about carrying random suffering or living in constant misery. The personal cross isn't something that happens to us. It's something we choose. It's saying no to that habit your flesh loves, but the Spirit rejects. It's turning down an invitation that seems harmless, but pulls you away from God's presence. It's choosing heaven even when the comforts of earth call louder. The problem is, many think the cross is too painful to be fair. But the truth is, it's not a punishment, it's a privilege. It separates the sincere from the religious, the surrendered from the informed. The cross is that desire you crucify within, not because it's forbidden, but because it doesn't align with your calling. It's silence in the middle of gossip. It's purity in the middle of a perverse culture. These little daily deaths are what shape a heart prepared for eternity. The cross is quiet. It doesn't need spotlights. It doesn't need a social media post. It's that unseen no to sin when no one else is watching. It's not clapping back, not holding a grudge, not feeding bitterness. And here's the powerful truth. God sees. God recognizes. God marks it. He knows exactly who's living this hidden surrender. And right now, He is setting apart those who will be counted worthy to be taken. It's not a cross imposed. It's a voluntary surrender made through constant choices. And that's what few are willing to carry. Because while the world screams, "Follow your heart," Jesus whispers, "Deny yourself." And in that whisper, many get lost, unwilling to hear what their ego doesn't want to face. But the rapture, it will be the answer for those who learn to silence the world and listen to the voice of the cross. It's curious how most people want heaven, but not the cross. They want the reward, but avoid the process. Why? Because the right choice is rarely the popular one. It doesn't come with likes, claps, or praise. Quite the opposite. It usually comes with silence, loneliness, and even criticism. The personal cross doesn't get you a platform. It doesn't bring fame. It doesn't impress anyone. And in a world obsessed with recognition, that sounds like madness. Many people avoid this choice because it feels too small to matter. Denying a thought, avoiding a conversation, skipping a distraction, all of it seems insignificant. But it's those little decisions that are tipping the scales in heaven. God doesn't measure size, He measures the heart. And what seems like just a detail here might mean everything there. It's the detail that reveals who's paying attention and who's just keeping up appearances. Another reason so few make this choice is the internal confrontation it requires. Looking into the mirror of your soul and admitting, "I need to change." That hurts. It's much easier to remodel your routine than to break your ego. But the cross only fits those brave enough to face their own inner mess. People who live for appearances run from the process. People who love truth face it, even through tears. Most are still waiting for something to happen, a chill, a prophecy, a sign in the sky. But the real test has already begun, and it's happening inside each person. It's like a pop quiz. Only those who've been preparing in advance will be ready. The rapture won't give you time to catch up, and what seems delayed could happen at any moment. And when that moment comes, only those who've been choosing in secret will rise. Some people keep asking, "Am I ready?" But the real question is, have you been denying your will, or just reshaping your religious routine? Many deceive themselves into thinking external changes are proof of transformation. They change their clothes, their music, even their habits, but keep their heart on the throne. God isn't looking for religious upgrades, He's looking for surrendered hearts. It's not about showing up at church every Sunday, it's about denying your flesh when no one's watching. Want to know if you've made this choice? Look inside. Are you still comfortable with sin? Or does it disturb you even when no one calls you out? Those who've truly chosen Jesus start to feel disgusted by what once entertained them. What used to be fun now feels poisonous, not because someone told them, but because the Holy Spirit moved in. When that happens, even God's silence feels like direction. Here's another revealing question. Do you choose the Spirit even when no one's watching? In line at the bank, in traffic, at work? Real faith shows up in the backstage, not just on the platform. It's in automatic reactions that the heart exposes itself. That impulse you hold back, that word you choose not to say, that attitude you resist. They're all quiet confirmations of a major decision already made. And the best part? This choice can still be made. Today, there's still time. And that's the best news. The trumpet hasn't sounded yet, and heaven is still waiting for sincere responses. But make no mistake, this choice has a deadline. It demands an answer before the skies split open. The rapture isn't a last-minute invitation. It's a gathering of those who already said yes through action. And if you're reading this right now, it's because God is still calling. The rapture won't be the moment of decision. It will simply be the harvest of those who have already chosen, truly chosen, to surrender. The real question was never, do you believe Jesus is coming back? The real question is, have you surrendered enough to be taken? Because in the end, it won't be biblical knowledge or church attendance that determines who rises, but the practical, daily, personal, and invisible choice made when no one was watching. So, be honest with yourself right now. Have you been denying your will, or just adjusting your religious routine? Do you feel discomfort with sin, even when no one confronts you? Have you been choosing the Spirit in secret, or only when it's convenient? That reflection may sting, but it's precisely what opens the door to transformation. Because there's